There are questions that refuse to be silenced. Why did some civilizations vanish without a trace, yet their hidden practices still echo through time? What truly occurs after the final breath, when the soul passes through darkness? And why do symbols hidden within ancient temples seem to carry messages not for them, but for us? If every secret they safeguarded was encoded in hermetic symbols, what could they have been protecting so fiercely? Perhaps answers that would forever alter how we understand death, the sacred, and even the course of human destiny. What if these signs were never merely metaphors, but concealed instructions for crossing the invisible veil? Among silent ruins and manuscripts that have survived the ages, there exists an invisible thread linking cultures separated by oceans and millennia. What once seemed like simple superstition now reveals itself as fragments of deliberately hidden knowledge. Egypt left rituals describing the soul's passage through shadowed realms. Sumer recorded entities that guided door-trap spirits. Babylonia encoded the map of human destiny in the stars. But why did all these distant traditions insist on preserving symbols that appear to point toward the same enigma? This isn't just legend, it's carefully calculated signs, preserved in stone, religious symbols, and even practices that continue to breathe within modern occultism. Something was transmitted, not to explain the past, but to prepare anyone daring enough to decipher the future. And perhaps the real question isn't what they believed, but what they feared would be lost if this knowledge vanished forever. When we speak of civilizations that vanished, the first impression is one of silence and oblivion. But did they truly disappear? Their cities may have fallen silent, their temples turned to dust, yet their hidden practices endured concealed within secret traditions, preserved in hermetic texts, and passed from master to disciple under strict secrecy. Sumer, often regarded as the cradle of writing, recorded encounters with entities that not only influenced earthly life but determined the soul's fate after death. In Egypt, funerary texts such as the Book of the Dead were far from mere myths. They served as instructions for guiding the spirit safely through the duat, a shadowy realm where a single misstep could trap consciousness forever. These accounts do not align by coincidence. They suggest that ancient societies did not see death as a definitive end, but as a cycle of trials beyond the final breath. For them, death was less a conclusion and more a treacherous threshold. And here arises the question: what truly awaited those unprepared to navigate this hidden path? The ancients never regarded death as rest, but as an invisible tribunal. Egypt spoke of the heart being weighed against the feather of martyr judgment that could free the soul or condemn it to eternal destruction in the jaws of Ammit. In Babylon, it was believed that wandering spirits, unable to complete their rites, would drift aimlessly, feeding on the suffering of the living. But why such fear? Because failing on this path meant losing one's essence, dissolving into fragments. For them, the harshest sentence was not hell, but absolute oblivion. And here we encounter something unsettling across different cultures. A strikingly similar scenario emerges: a need to traverse a hostile domain, Afterlife, a realm where dark forces awaited the reckless. This detail cannot be ignored. After all, if peoples who never met shared the same warning, were they merely dreaming or preserving the memory of a reality we have since forgotten? The pattern is impossible to ignore. Societies separated by oceans describe nearly identical symbols and trials. In ancient Mexico, the Maya recounted the journey through Xibalba, an underworld ruled by lords of darkness who tested the spirit with cruel challenges. In Greece, the soul traveler had to cross the river Styx, guided by Coron, and face the judgments of Hades' gods. A closer look reveals that the language changes, but the essence remains. Rivers, gates, guardians, tribunals. These are not mere mythological coincidences, but fragments of a shared hidden inheritance. Hermeticism, born in Hellenistic Egypt, called this process the Great Passage, the journey of consciousness beyond matter. Its masters taught that the initiate, who understood the symbols in life, would be able to navigate the traps after death. It was as if these teachings were maps hidden within myths, designed so that only a few could return to their true home. But a question still lingers: if everyone speaks of the same passage, who was the first to reveal this secret? Could there have been a lost civilization that left this knowledge as a warning for all of humanity? Among the whispered legends of the ancients, few are as persistent as those of Atlantis and Lemuria, two empires that, according to occult traditions, possessed not only advanced science, but also spiritual keys capable of guiding the soul through the invisible portals of death. Plato described Atlantis as a fallen power, punished for abusing its might. Yet esoteric currents claim that its priests preserved fragments of this secret knowledge and scattered them across the world before the cataclysm. Pyramids erected on distant continents, precise astronomical alignments, and repeated symbols in disconnected cultures are said to be traces of this same ancient code. Lemuria, shrouded in mist and mystery, is remembered in Indian and Polynesian traditions as a continent of highly spiritual beings, capable of communicating with invisible realms. Were they the first to teach that death is not an end, but a passage? If these peoples truly existed, the inevitable question echoes: where did this knowledge go when their kingdoms sank beneath the waters? Was it hidden in buried temples, waiting to be discovered, or veiled in symbols so subtle that only the initiated could decipher them? If the echoes of Atlantis and Lemuria did not vanish in the waves, they found a home in the rituals of the great civilizations that followed. Egypt perhaps offers the clearest example. Its priests spoke of the Ka and Ba, immortal essences that had to be guided beyond the physical body. The pyramids, aligned with the stars, were not mere tombs, they were spiritual machines, designed to navigate consciousness through the heavens. In Sumer, clay tablets recorded encounters between gods and men, but concealed formulas for traversing the world of the dead. The goddess Ereshkigal, mistress of the underworld, embodied not only terror, but also initiation, summons to any traveler daring enough to cross her gates. Babylon, with its magicians and priests, carried this legacy forward. Their enchantments were not aimed solely at earthly power, but at the ability to communicate with unseen entities. Believing that the secret of immortality was written in the skies and the movements of planets and stars, these peoples transformed mourning into ritual and death into a passage. But who truly deciphered these secrets? Were they kings, priests, or merely a restricted lineage, claiming guardianship of keys inherited from previous worlds? The true keepers of wisdom were not just priests, but initiates capable of interpreting the codes of the cosmos. They understood that every symbol, every ritual gesture was a gateway to the invisible reality. In Egypt, the Eye of Horus was not a mere amulet. It was a map of perception, a warning that the world we see is only a shadow of what truly exists. In Sumer, cuneiform writing did more than record events. It concealed keys to meditation and spiritual ascent, accessible only to those who knew the correct sequence of intonations and visualizations. Babylon turned the sky into a temple, stars became books, and planetary movements encoded chapters explaining how the human spirit could navigate between the physical and divine realms. These guardians taught that the soul is not confined to the body. Every death, every dream, every experience was a lesson in understanding the infinite. Yet this knowledge came at a price. It could not be freely given. Those who dared to disrespect the discipline and secrets risked becoming lost between worlds, never to return. Thus, the line between reality and illusion, life and death, human and divine, was deliberately blurred as if the universe itself were testing our courage and attention. Access to these secrets was never casual. Initiation demanded trials, challenges, and inner transformation. In Egyptian temples, aspirants were guided by hierophants who tested not just the mind, but the ability to perceive reality beyond the veil. Every gesture, every inscription, every architectural alignment was a living code designed to awaken dormant consciousness. In the hermetic tradition, passing on this knowledge was a sacred act. Encoded texts, cryptic symbols, and parables were methods to protect the essence of spiritual power, ensuring that only those emotionally and spiritually prepared could comprehend it. A single misinterpretation could bring confusion, illusion, or even profound suffering. For confronting the unknown requires both courage and discipline. The masters also taught about the interplay of light and shadow, the yin and yang of human experience. Life, like a cosmic ritual, imposed challenges, tests of patience and courage. Every failure acted as a mirror, reflecting what had yet to be integrated within us, while each advance was a step along the soul's path toward the perception of unity with the whole. As one delves into these ancient teachings, an inevitable question arises: how much truth can the human mind truly bear? Hermetic texts and Egyptian scrolls warn of limits that, if ignored, bring imbalance. Deep understanding of the universe is not merely intellectual, but experiential, a delicate dance between perception and illusion. Initiation rituals exemplify this. A misstep could lead to psychic confusion or a temporary loss of identity. Yet those who persisted, integrating symbols and archetypes with discernment, glimpsed cosmic consciousness, a perception of the whole that transcends space and time. Here emerges the power of the observer. Every choice, every action in the face of this knowledge shapes not only individual destiny, but echoes across the fabric of reality. The ancients understood that certain gestures carry their own energy, that small decisions could attract subtle blessings or curses. For those who feel the call of hidden wisdom, leave a like and watch your energy align with the flow of ancient knowledge. Every click strengthens unseen protection over those seeking truth. Ancient superstition says, supporting knowledge honors the guardians of the secret. When we finally confront the totality of existence, the most unsettling revelation appears. The universe is a dance between the visible and the invisible, a creation that hides even as it reveals itself. Every being, every thought, every pulse of life is a manifestation of this cosmic consciousness, playing at being lost and found. The ancients called this Lala, the divine play. Life, with its tragedies and wonders, is not merely a survival mechanism. It is a stage where the sacred conceals itself behind masks, inviting us to discover our true nature. Here, death is not an absolute end, but a passage to new states of perception, where what once seemed permanent is revealed as transient. The limits of knowledge are grasped not by the rational mind, but by the awakened heart, which senses the totality without needing to control it. Every gesture, every intention resonates through the universe like an invisible wave, connecting us to the whole in ways that transcend understanding. The fear of the end, the obsession with control, the illusion of separation, these are all part of the game. Courage does not lie in mastering the universe, but in dancing with it, even without knowing all the rules. Now, after exploring the secrets of existence, all that remains is to recognize the truth that has always been before us. Life is a conscious illusion, a dream carefully woven by the cosmos itself. Every encounter, every challenge, every moment of ecstasy or pain is not mere chance, but a note in the infinite symphony of creation. What once seemed solid, our fears, certainties, even death itself, reveals itself as fluid, transient, and profoundly sacred. Just as every wave is the ocean in motion, every life is universal consciousness, manifesting uniquely, experiencing itself in infinite forms. And within this understanding lies freedom, to accept the game without losing wonder, to witness the dance without mistaking shadow for totality. The universe does not need to be conquered, it needs to be felt, embraced as the oldest and deepest secret there is. The secret stands before us, yet only those willing to look beyond the masks can feel eternity pulsing within themselves.